live, Paul.
Finally, Liz, you're sitting
Woo!
here taking your time.
I know.
Just kidding.
I'm Liz McDade, a huge Columbo fan and a small business owner living in Santa Cruz, California, and this is my brother.
I'm Paul McDade, an editor and actor working in the TV and film industry in Los Angeles, and this is Trenchcoat Cigar, Peugeot, Wandering with Columbo. In each episode, we'll bring you a little Hollywood history, glamour, and behind the scenes as we walk you through Columbo, one of America's greatest TV detective series.
That's right. And today we are talking about A Matter of Honor from season 5. This is episode 4, and it aired February 1st, 1976. And with every podcast recording, we have a snack and a drink inspired by the episode. And for A Matter of Honor, the snack is packaged crackers, and the drink is mezcal or tequila or a latte / cappuccino. All right, Paul, what do you got? What's going on over there at your desk?
I got coffee with some heavy cream. It's cold now, but it still does the job.
All right.
We have to get a refill before 9. But what about you? What does Liz have?
Well, I actually went out and bought tequila for tonight's recording. We're recording this at nighttime. It is Tequila Mi Campo. It's a Blanco.
Can you show us the bottle for whoever wants to watch the video?
Yes, I'm showing the video.
Look at that. It's pretty. What is that? Looks like a heart or something?
Yes, it is pretty. Yeah, there's like a heart with like plants growing out of it on the label.
Oh, cool. I love mezcal. I would have, if I wasn't working tomorrow, I would definitely get a little mezcal. I
find it a little bit too smoky.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I went with tequila and have a little sip. I haven't tasted this yet.
Because you're such a gringa. No, I'm just kidding. That's what mom would say.
I'm not that much of a gringa.
No, I know. Mom, when we went to Gardner, Colorado, she's like, look at the gringos over there. Look at all these gringos. Mom, you know you're married to a gringo?
Mom? Yeah, come on.
I love you, Mom.
Children are halfsies. We love you. All right, and we will talk about the crackers. Paul, I'll tell you about the crackers when we get to the crackers.
Better be a good story.
Yeah, it's going to be an excellent story. All right, so moving on to Smoke Signals, where we read letters from listeners like you. And today we have an awesome email from Brady. And I'm going to share a little bit of it right now, and then we're going to share a little bit more in the episode. All right, so Brady wrote to us and shared that the following. Doug and I finally found some time this week to watch A Matter of Honor again and snag a look at the photos we took during our stay at the Hacienda Vista Hermosa in April of 22. This hacienda-style resort complex is where much of A Matter of Honor was filmed, and it is about 40 minutes south of the city center of Cuernavaca in the state of Morelos, Mexico. So Brady was actually there, and we have some photos from the filming location, and we have some more details, which I will share. But before we move along, I want to share a couple more things from Brady. Brady says, it's a shame we didn't bring the episode DVD with us when we stayed so that we could better match up the angles of our photos. Very thoughtful, Brady. That would have been very cool. But what you gave us was amazing. And then finally, Brady shares that our very brief side trip to Cuernavaca was fascinating, and we hope one day to return to the area to investigate more. So thank you so much, Brady.
Yeah, Brady and Doug, the pictures are so cool. They're just the colors and the angles. It looks so much like, and there's more detail that's not shown in the film in the episode that they gave us, like particularly the pool area that you see towards later in the back when Ricardo's in the office. Yeah, Doug and Brady, they were following us on. We were following them on Instagram They do music, DJs, they're DJs. They list a lot of the music that they play, but they also do their own podcast, and it's called SEE View Circle. And it's a lot of their favorite TV shows, but a lot of it is Knots Landing. So if you like Knots Landing or Yellow Jackets or
Yeah.
The White Lotus, check it out because it's very humorous and it's super detailed. Detailed like they recognize things in the wallpaper of a particular
Whoa.
shot that coincides with the
Yeah.
theme of the episode. But it's very
Wow.
funny. It's a trip, so they know exactly what they're talking about, and they have guests and stuff. So yeah, that's at Seaview Circle, Instagram Seaview Circle altogether, SEEVIEW Circle.
We'll put it in our Instagram notes and in our podcast notes. So when you look at your podcast player and you tap on this episode, you can see what we are talking about right now. But also the photos we'll share to our Instagram. And so if you're not following us on Instagram, we are at Trenchcoat Cigar. And that's where we post photos. We can only post 10 photos at a time. So often I'll spread it out over a few days. Yeah. So thank you so much for writing in, Brady and Doug. And
Thank you.
we'll share a little bit more of their recollections from being there. So very cool. Okay. So to summarize a matter of honor, Columbo is on vacation in Mexico when he gets drawn into an investigation of a death in a bull ring. And he starts out confused by the fact that the victim, an employee, would kill his employer's or try to kill his employer's expensive bull. And the more that Columbo learns about bullfighting, the more suspicious he becomes of Montoya, the famous matador in Mexico. So let's get into the weeds together here, Paul.
All right, I'm ready.
You ready? You
Ready
got your
for it.
coffee?
It's almost gone, so you better hurry.
So the opening scene here, the episode opens on a young man. He's having a nightmare and he's sweating. It seems like he's dreaming of or remembering a charging bull incident, and he's getting dragged out of the way of the bull while others are stepping in to save him. And he wakes up from this dream or this memory or this, combination nightmare. Wakes up, he sits up, and we see that he's in a hospital room, and there's a doctor there and a nurse there to calm him down and give him more medicine. And then we cut to a phone starts ringing in the hospital room, and we cut to an estate. And inside this home is Ricardo Montalban playing Luis Montoya, or Senor Montoya is wearing a suit. He's talking on an old-timey phone. We've seen this kind of phone in other episodes. And he's watching, it looks like he's watching himself in old bullfighting videos on a movie projector in his room. All right, so we learn in the phone call, Montoya has called the doctor to find out about the patient. His name is Curro. He's okay. He's going to be okay. And Luis thanks the doctor, and Mr. Luis Montoya thanks the doctor, says, I'm going to let his parents know that he's going to be okay. And Paul, do you know what Curro is a nickname for?
I read it in a book about bullfighting, but I forget.
Ah. Well, according to the internet, it's often a nickname for Francisco.
Okay. For
So,
Francisco?
yeah. All right. So somebody knocks and Matador says, enter. He shares an update about the boy. This other person enters. Luis tells him that the boy's going to be okay. And the man says, you were so brave, to Montoya. And this seems to give him pause. So this is like the first clue, like something, not all is as it seems. So Luis sends the man home and he says, tell everyone can go home after what we've been through. Just ask, Miguel is going to stay behind and help me out here at the ranch. And so we have a shot of the ranch and estate staff. They're all leaving. It's not the most positive portrayal of workers. They're kind of like acting really silly
Hmm.
and goofy.
Yeah.
A bit of a stereotype, a negative stereotype. Now we meet Miguel. Miguel is a ranch hand. And Miguel, I think, was played by someone who is a fairly well known actor.
Yeah, Emilio Fernandez. Yeah, this guy was a director too.
Oh,
He
wow.
was one of Martin Scorsese's favorite directors.
Oh, my gosh.
Again, you can watch a lot of his films on YouTube. Some of them have subtitles, some of them don't. This one he did called Maria Calendera is really cool. I was watching it, but the commercials kept pausing the movie, and because I was projecting it from my computer, but my computer's in a different room, I had to keep running to my room to skip over the because I don't have a wireless mouse to skip over
Uh,
the commercials. So like I was like, I can't take this anymore. So I stopped watching it. So that was really frustrating. So he was very famous. I recognize him from Sam Peckinpah films. He's in Pat Garrett and the Billy the Kid, Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia, and the most famous one is the Wild Bunch, and he plays Mapache, who's sort of like the one of the main like not a sheriff, but who goes after the Wild Bunch. And I think it's at the very end of the film. You can see a lot of his films online.
that's so cool.
Yeah, no, he's it's amazing. He was an amazing artist. He was also given the nickname El Indio. And there's another actor named Guillermo Calles who he was friends with Emilio, but Guillermo also was a filmmaker. He did have some Indian ancestry in him. He's from Mexico, so his nationality was from Mexico, but he made films here. He did too. Emilio Fernandez. He was offered, and these are the silent films,
Oh, wow.
and he ended up going into sound as well. He ended up keeping a career of sorts. Like he even did a movie at Universal. He wrote and
Oh,
produced it. Yeah, he's
wow.
not very well known. However, there is this book here that I got from the Los Angeles Public Library System. Rogelio Agrasánchez Jr. Put a wonderful book together all about him, and he's kind of mentioned in passing in some of the other Mexican history cinema books,
Mhm.
but not to like this wonderful detail. And he worked with the best during his lifetime. At one time, he had asked Hollywood filmmakers if he could make a film, and they told him no. But they said yes if you change your nationality, and he was like,
Oh,
I
geez.
refuse. Yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not going to do that. But he ended up, being able to make, and his dog was well trained. His dog was in the films. So anyway, him
Oh,
and Emilio are two sort of like renowned artists in cinema, of the world.
what was the connection between Guillermo and Amelia? They worked together on something?
Yes, they did a couple films together. They did at
Oh,
least
that's
two or three,
cool.
but they were friends. And they both like Guillermo went on a hunger strike in Mexico because they didn't want to put him in the DGA in their version of the Directors Guild, if I'm remembering it correctly. And Emilio was always very vocal too about filmmakers' rights and union and helping each other. They were both actors, but then they were also both writers, and it's just so cool. It's very inspiring if you take a look at their body of work. It's just there's a lot to go through. Just at Mexican cinema in general, there's so much. And this film, I think it's so cool that they went down there, to this town below Mexico City to film this, and they used some of the locals to help. I think in the David Canning book, the sound team that they hired had to be replaced because they
Yeah.
were not that good. So the actors, all the actors in this too, I think are all high caliber performers, most of them.
Mhm.
And I love that it's in Spanish. A lot of
Yes,
the film,
a lot of it. Yeah.
I think that says a lot to what they wanted to create here.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll include in our show notes any of Emilio's films, Paul, that you want to shout out for folks to check out.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
All right. So we meet Miguel, aka Emilio Fernandez, and Luis Montoya says, goes out to Miguel, out by the stables and says, hey, part of the fence is broken out in the, east meadow or whatever he says. I forget which direction the meadow was. And he tosses a bottle of mezcal to Miguel and says, why don't you go tend to the fence and, take this with you? And so Miguel's pretty happy and takes off on his horse with his mezcal. And so, Luis has clearly gotten rid of all the staff here, sent folks home, sent Miguel off with the bottle of mezcal. And now he goes into an apartment on the ranch. This is where Hector lives. And we haven't met Hector yet. Hector is washing up and Luis lets himself in. And we learn in this scene that Hector is actually packing up to leave the ranch for good. He's got to go. And Luis says, I really hope you'll change your mind. You should stay here. And Hector says, no, I have to go. I can't stay. And then Luis says that Curro, who's in the hospital, who is Hector's son, is planning to come back to the ranch to kill the bull that charged him, that put him in the hospital, that he's having nightmares about. And so Luis says that Hector, you and I, we've got to go kill the bull before Curro comes home and tries to kill the bull himself and get hurt again or even killed again. This is a lie. So, there's no information from the hospital or from anything that Curro has any plans like this. But Luis wants to get Hector out to the bull ring. Luis really has to pressure Hector to come out because Hector says, this is just totally crazy. We can't kill this bull. You've got your bad knee. It's just the two of us. But Luis convinces him. And they're going to go kill the bull whose name is Marinero. All right. So now we're going to go to the bull ring, Paul.
All right.
All right.
Scene of the
And
crime.
the scene of the crime. This is the actual crime here. So Luis is in the bull ring first, and he's bending his sword against the rock wall. I know there's a special name for the sword, but I did not jot it down. I don't suppose you remember the special name. I tried to write down the special names of the different pieces of equipment that they use, but this one I didn't get, but that's okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of different tools, right?
Yeah,
That
there's
they
a lot of
use.
terminology. There's the cape, which has a special that has its own name.
Yeah, there's different moves also.
What are you looking at there, Paul? Is that
Oh yeah,
the
so
book
this is
that
called La
Columbo's been
Fiesta.
carrying around?
Exactly. It's called La Fiesta Brava, The Art of the Bull Ring by Barnaby
Oh.
Conrad, author of Matador. And this gentleman, he actually did bullfighting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in amateur ones, not in the high paying ones of Spain and Mexico. But he
Yeah.
got some wonderful photographs and gives some wonderful stories about different bullfighters, different moves. He has diagrams and outlines
Oh, wow.
for specific ones. That's some of the images are disturbing for sure.
Yeah.
But my favorite story was about this one bullfighter, Manolete. He was this scrawny bullfighter who everybody laughed at. That he could never be a bullfighter. And this is him when he was young because of his thin frame and he was tiny. And he became like one of the grand masters.
Oh, cool.
And unfortunately, he was killed.
Oh.
And when he died, he became a heavy drinker, whiskey, American whiskey. But his story was very moving in a lot of ways. That he just went for it, and he became very famous. But there's a lot of different stories in here in this book if somebody's interested in researching it. But the outfits they wear, and there's so much to the history of bullfighting that it's bullfighting supported hospitals and politicians a long time ago, for
Oh,
since like 1600s maybe.
wow.
1700s. In this one by Adrian Schubert, Death and Money in the Afternoon, A History of the Spanish Bullfight, talks about all of that stuff that kings would use. And then the hospitals themselves would start using, like, well, we got to have a bullfight to raise some money. And so a lot of money was made. I mean, it's super condensed book, but if you want a history on bullfighting and the implications around it and people's thoughts, you have all these different opposing views towards it. But it has this heavy history. People would have it at their weddings, a long time ago.
Oh my gosh, at weddings?
Yeah.
Wow.
Reading it, there's all these different things, how it developed over the years,
Yeah.
And so if you want like a super detailed thing, it's a cool read. I didn't read the whole thing, but I got, oh, I didn't get too far, but it was, I liked what I was reading. So, but it gives you a better idea. Some people see it as this barbaric, and it is in a lot of ways.
Have you ever been to a bullfight?
Yeah. Yeah. In Mexico, in Juarez.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. With mom.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go with us?
I went to one also, but I don't think I went with you and mom. I think I went with friends.
You went with friends, Liz?
I
Liz, does
think
Elliot know
so.
about this?
I don't know why I went. I probably went because I was like, oh, they've got cheap beer. That'll be fun.
Right? Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my God, this is kind of horrible. Why am I here?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's like that was their football, right?
Mm.
And so like people, they would have to change. Like the church kept having to compete with on Sundays with the bullfighting, and they couldn't stop
Oh,
it. But then they also used the bullfighting to raise money for the parishes and stuff.
yeah.
That was another big thing that the church did in Spain. Mexico, I'm not as sure about that. Yeah, no, I went with mom and an older girlfriend. Yeah, it was. I remember the beer. I mean, I was fun with just be with mom and Juarez,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I did feel like gosh, this because it wasn't that crowded either.
Mm-hmm.
Like it seemed like more of a. It wasn't that touristy, but it definitely seemed like a touristy thing in a way. It
Yeah.
seemed, it was kind of weird. It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember like we had some pork rinds or something, and
Mm-hmm.
some beer.
So you
But
remember
did
the
you?
food and drink?
Yeah, I remember going to Juarez with you. Did you guys go to Juarez a lot
Yeah,
when you lived in El Paso? Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
you and your friends.
Yes. Yeah, we would go there. We had some like class events there, like like senior dinner and Civeles, which was like the big senior party. And then, they had the discotheques. We'd go dancing and
Hmm.
oh yeah. That was a long time ago.
But that was Juarez where you went to the bullfight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't remember it very well. Like this was in high school, and I just remember going, but I don't remember a lot of the details
Oh, it was before high school.
during high school.
Oh, during. Okay, yeah.
Back to Colombo. Sorry, let's go. All right, so they're in the bull ring. Like I said, Luis is bending his sword. He's like preparing for fight, and then Hector joins him in the ring. And then Luis hits Hector in the leg with a tranquilizing dart when Hector's back is turned. And so Hector is immediately disoriented by this and he asks for help. And instead of helping, Luis gets out of the way and lets the bull in to maul Hector, to kill him, basically. And in the moment where this is happening in the bull ring, we cut to downtown Cuernavaca where Colombo is in his car and he accidentally rear ends another car. So this accident happens and Colombo and the other car are immediately swarmed by other people. Like all these pedestrians come over and surround the cars. Again, this is, a bit of a negative stereotype or portrayal, but people are demanding that, Colombo owes them money. The passenger in the car that he rear ended, he starts to pretend that his neck is really hurt. And Colombo is saying, This is crazy. We were only going 5 miles an hour. You're fine. There's no way I hurt your neck. Oh, but in this moment, did you notice a little close up zoom in that happened here, Paul?
Is Mike Lally in the scene?
No, not Mike. Something else.
Mom and Dad, were they in that scene? I love this scene.
You do?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, because it's like so many real people, and they're speaking in Spanish the whole time. But no, what's the zoom in?
Someone asks him for his ID, and
Oh,
there's a
yeah.
pretty clear shot of the name Frank Colombo on
Ooh.
the ID here.
Don't tell Link and Levinson.
I won't. Mum's the word here.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, the police officer looks at it.
Yeah,
I was just saying the whole thing with hurting your neck, that's everywhere, right? People wanting to do that.
that's true. Yeah, maybe this isn't like a. Yeah, maybe this is just any place.
But you're right. It could be construed as bad point. Like why you got to show
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
So.
But it definitely adds to. I mean, it adds to the storyline because now Columbo is about to get stuck in Mexico as a result of this accident, and it adds to the chaos of what's happening all around him. So, because of this accident, the police decide they have to tow his car, and Columbo's not able to speak or communicate with anyone because he doesn't speak a word of Spanish. And so his car is getting towed, and then a cop grabs his arm and walks him over to another cop. And this police officer introduces himself. He speaks English. His name is Sanchez. He explains to Columbo that, oh, I'm sorry, your car has to stay here until Monday. But he recognizes Columbo from a previous episode or a previous
Mm-hmm.
crime that he solved, Troubled Waters.
Mm-hmm.
And so he is kind of excited to meet Columbo because Columbo's famous for solving that crime on the cruise ship. And then so he's excited to talk with Columbo. Then Sanchez learns that there was a deadly accident up at Luis Montoya's ranch. And Sanchez tells Columbo, hey, maybe I can get your paperwork to get your car back finished faster if you come with me to Montoya's. Did you look up the actor who played Sanchez, Paul?
Yes. Yeah, Pedro Armendariz Jr.
Mm-hmm.
I recognize him. He reminds me of a like older Diego Luna in this. I love him in this episode. He was in all kinds of stuff. I watched an Alex Cox film, the guy who did Repo Man, called Highway Patrolman, and it's all in Spanish, shot in Mexico. He's in that. That's an interesting film, that one. But yeah, this guy, he was in the Will Ferrell film that's in Spanish with Diego Luna.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like a comedy. I never saw it, but he's just this actor's did a ton of stuff. I love him in this as this character though.
mm-hmm.
He seems like a good counter to Columbo. You know how he occasionally will have, but he was in Original Sin with Angelina Jolie, The Mexican with Brad Pitt, and The Mask of Zorro. The Casa de Mi Padre is the one I was thinking of with Will Ferrell and
Okay,
Diego
okay.
Luna.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, I also really liked the actor who gets killed, Robert Caricat.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Caricart.
Tell us about him, Paul.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about him. I did see him in the episode of the One Step Beyond, this kind of like show, and it was okay. The episode he was in, but I thought his performance with Ricardo Montalban was great. In that the scene they had, the dramatic piece between them, getting upset, you're not entirely sure what they're talking about
Right.
or why there's this sort of intensity between them.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that. That I thought that was some great acting. He was in a movie called The Milagro Beanfield War.
Oh, yeah. I
Robert
know that one.
Redford. He played Coyote Angel. I think he plays like a spirit in that one, if I
Oh,
remember
cool.
correctly. It's been years since we saw that,
Yeah, that's a good
but I
one.
always liked that one.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I don't remember it, but that's one of Mom's favorite movies. She says that's what
Mhm.
basically what Gardner is.
Yeah,
So yeah, I definitely remember. that I have seen it. That was one thing I was just talking to Elliot about this episode, and I was complaining a little bit about this episode, which we'll get to. But I was like, and he was like, "Well, what did you like about it?" And I was like, "The acting in this episode is really good. Every single actor I felt like just was like really solid and very real and believable." Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I thought that particular moment was one of the stronger ones. But there, everybody in this, even the guy washing the car that's coming up,
Mhm, mhm,
was good. Like I think there was one line he did that was a little something about it, not as
mhm,
organic, but he's
mhm.
still good.
All right, so moving on. So Sanchez, Officer Detective Sanchez, is going to take Columbo out to visit the scene of the accident. So now they're at Montoya's, and we can see a bit more of where Montoya lives. And this place, like we shared in the smoke signal, it does exist outside of Cuernavaca, and you can visit it still today. So they pull up, and Sanchez talks to Montoya, and Montoya tells the two of them the story of how Kuro was almost killed by this very same bull a day or two ago, or a day ago. And so Hector, Kuro's father, decided he had to go into the ring to kill this bull, as a matter of honor for his son who was injured. And, he's like, he must have just, he couldn't kill the bull, but it's very understandable that he would do this. And Columbo is immediately curious about this because he assumes that a bull is a very expensive piece of property, and that seems out of line for an employee to just decide, like, I'm going to kill this
Hmm.
bull out of a matter of honor. And then we also learned that everyone had been let go for the day from the ranch. They'd all been let go early, and this
Another
is another
flag,
another flag, like
another
class
red flag.
classic red flag. And then Columbo asks Jaime. So Jaime, I think, is the man who enters Montoya's projector room at the very beginning, and I couldn't think of his name. Pretty sure it's Jaime.
Yeah, it is Delgado.
Yeah. Okay. So Columbo, another question Columbo has is like, wow, it seems kind of late to start a bullfight at 5 p.m. And Jaime says, no, that's a normal time of day. So Columbo's kind of getting like shot down with all of these ideas of his, but he keeps pursuing it. He keeps digging around and asking folks. And now he's looking at cars, and he sees Montoya's collection of cars and sees the car that Montoya was decided to drive to San Diego. So Montoya says that I was on my way to San Diego when Hector was killed by the bull, and that Hector decided not to come with me to San Diego because he said he had bookkeeping he had to take care of. So he took his sporty car, and Columbo learns that Montoya asked his car person to wash and wax his sporty car. He asked him to do that like the day before, like or the morning of. He basically the car was prepped before Montoya had actually talked to Hector about driving him or not driving him to San Diego. So here's another that was another red flag for Columbo. And did you want to say something about this? I know you already kind of mentioned the actor who's doing the cleaning the cars.
Well, I really liked Jaime saying something to him about Columbo stops him, and they have this little conversation. Not the car guy, but Jaime Delgado,
Uh-huh.
and I forget what he says about, but he just points out like we call them loco. I think is what he says. I forget what he says to him exactly, but it's a great little moment with Jaime.
Mhm.
But the other guy, yeah, the other guy is was okay as an actor. Like he was good, but he seems a little different than everybody else.
Mm.
His pants look grimy, but they seem super tight. Just his style and stuff seems very different than everybody else's style there, maybe. But maybe it would make sense because he's working with this famous bullfighter, who's known across the land, this great legend.
Hmm.
So I could see someone like that wanting to work for somebody like that to get
Yeah.
attention, and because
Yeah. He has an affinity for Montoya, feels some connection there.
and the accent seemed slightly different at a couple of points with that actor,
Oh.
just slightly. I only watched the episode twice recently, so
I do want to share a little note from Brady here. So we're at the resort where they filmed this episode and also where you can go visit, and Brady and Doug visited. So here's more about it. Brady did my research for me, Paul, which was really nice.
thank you, Brady.
Yeah, thank you. Normally I'm
you
looking
can
up locations,
Yeah, you
but
can stay there. They have like 100 rooms.
yeah, super cool. So it's a colonial era fortress that was built in the 1500s by Hernan Cortez, or this is what Brady says, let's be honest, his minions. It's beautiful and brutal. So it has a stunning pool that used to be the fortress's aqueduct. It also has underground tunnels that lead to prison cells, dungeons, and rudimentary medical facilities.
Oh,
Oh my gosh, I can't
a little
imagine.
scary.
Yeah, a little scary and creepy, but pretty cool. So that's the resort. And yeah, I have a couple more notes when we get to other parts or areas of the resort that I'll share.
Yeah, it was taken over by or a target of Zapata's army at one time, and they took it
Oh.
over. I know that. I read that online.
Mhm.
It was an LA Times article.
Oh. About the resort.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
yeah.
It's a famous spot. All right, so we're going to move to the scene of the crime, or actually, it's still classified as an accident at this moment. Columbo wants to just get a look at Hector's body before the coroner drives him away, and he's startled by what he sees because Hector was clearly killed by the bull, so it's very violent. But he has questions. He wonders why isn't the cape damaged at all? If Hector was fighting the bull, shouldn't there be some tears in the cape? And also, why was Hector's body found tossed across the ring from where the I can't remember if it was where the bull came in or
How is he dead in one location if he opened the door for the
right,
bull?
right,
So how could the bull? Why didn't the bull kill him by the door instead of the upper side? Yeah.
exactly, yeah. And Luis Montoya has explanations for everything. He's like, I can explain this, I can explain that. And then Columbo also finds some skid marks and a part of a pick. Montoya says, oh, that must have been splintered, by a cow or a bull yesterday because it's separate from where Hector was found and the, stuff near Hector. So obviously, Columbo has a lot of questions. Montoya seems to have a lot of answers, but Columbo's not satisfied. He is definitely starting to get suspicious. And now we are going to go out to dinner. And we are in downtown Cuernavaca. And I have some notes about this location. So this filming location is downtown Cuernavaca. You can see the building backdrop where the boys are playing soccer. You can see that, and you can still see that same building today. So this is the like a main plaza, and I think that they're sitting at one of two restaurants. One is called Los Arcos, and one is called La Universal, and they're both right off the plaza, and they both have really big outdoor dining patios. So you could possibly go down to Cuernavaca and recreate this moment where Columbo is eating with Detective Sanchez. So they're having dinner here with Sanchez, his wife, and his two sons. And this is where we get our snack. Did you notice the snack
Mm-hmm.
in this scene, Paul?
Yeah, I noticed the beers, but I didn't notice the crackers too, which I thought was peculiar. But I guess for his stomach, maybe he wanted his usual crackers with chili or something.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, this I was sad that there wasn't more food in this episode, like some
Hmm.
amazing, delicious Mexican food, and
Mole,
yeah, mole or I don't know, one of a million
whatever.
awesome dishes. It looks like they're done eating. There's no interesting food left, but there are some plates that look like maybe they used to have food on them. And then the only food visible in this whole episode is the packets of crackers. And this is where we also see the coffee drinks. So on the table, there's like goblets with maybe they're beer. I don't know. There's bottles of beer and then there's coffee drinks.
Yeah, and here he asks him, why do you suspect Montoya? And he's like, I didn't believe it. Like he didn't believe him. So right off, he tells you,
Mm-hmm.
which he doesn't do that a whole lot. He
Yeah.
doesn't say that out loud a whole lot.
Yeah, this is a really different kind of episode, having him work alongside another officer. He's done this before. So the one with Johnny Cash, Swan Song, there's
Hmm.
the flight investigator or whatever his title was. And so they were kind of working together. But this one is
Hmm.
different
Hmm.
because Columbo is like really confiding in this guy. He's like,
Yeah,
it's more like his peer, like a friend almost.
but it's also because he can't help it. You know what I mean? And he trusts him. And you really get that from Pedro, the actor, Comandante Sanchez. You get that very quickly, a friendly vibe, like a good
Hmm.
vibe.
Hmm.
And he's good at
Yeah.
that, perceiving that, picking that up.
Yeah, Columbo definitely trusts him. Yeah, he definitely gives off a friendly vibe. But has a very friendly face. He plays a villain like later in life. Is that right, Paul? In some of his roles or no?
Oh, probably. Yeah, I didn't. I only watched the in Highway Patrolman. He plays a confidant too. He plays a lieutenant for the Mexican police who trains. He gives out the once you pass the test to become a police officer,
Hmm.
he's like the one who says you pass.
Okay.
He's like a drill instructor, lieutenant, but also like a not a father figure, but the lead of Highway Patrolman is this young guy's great actor. I forget his name, but he helps him out. Like spends a little time with him when he's going through a real hard time as a police officer. So, but yeah, I could see him totally being a bad guy and later in life because he got a little heavier. And here he's so
Yeah.
vibrant. Like
Yeah.
yeah, but I can't remember those other films.
Yeah, I guess I'm just looking at I'm like totally jumping to conclusions because I'm looking at his more recent or his most recent photos where he gives off more of a villain vibe. He's got like these eyebrows that are, he just really knows how to like scrunch down those eyebrows.
Yeah, yeah, he's got the bushy gray eyebrows.
Okay, yeah. So like you said, Paul, like this is where Columbo confides in him and is like, I don't trust this guy. And Columbo is tries to be very polite and share, I know this is not I'm overstepping here. This is your home and your where you work and I'm just a tourist here, but I really feel like there's something else going on here. And then Sanchez is, very trusting also because he says, "Well, I want if there's a crime here, I would like to also understand and get to the bottom of it." So they kind of join forces here in this scene over dinner. And Columbo has some good details, things that he picked up while he was at the estate to share with him. The fact that Montoya knew that Hector was not going to be able to chauffeur him in the big, heavy antique car with no power steering because Montoya asked to prep the sporty car in advance. And so, that's one piece of evidence. I think maybe that's the only piece he shares in this moment. But anyhow, so they're both on the same page. Oh, and I did want to share so David Koenig's book, which you already mentioned, it's called Shooting Columbo. We talk about that a lot. It has some really interesting facts and tidbits from this episode. And one thing he shares is that filming it was so hard because of all of the onlookers and the background noise. And I don't know if you noticed in this scene, Paul, the onlookers that are watching them have
Oh
dinner.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. They weren't able to kind of get folks to just act natural. So folks are kind of like lined up on the periphery watching all of the action take place. All right, so should we go back to Montoya's?
Yes.
And here we're going to meet Nina. Nina is Montoya's adult daughter, and she's driving up in a cute little green car. I believe this is a 1954 MGTF. Don't know what those initials stand for, but that's the car she's driving. So Nina shows up and she's heard that Hector was killed by the bull and Kudo's in the hospital, and she's so confused. She doesn't understand what happened. And Montoya greets her with a hug and he's trying to comfort her. And then he spots Columbo. So Columbo has also gone back to the ranch. And Columbo is heading down towards Miguel, played by Emilio Fernandez. This is a funny little moment where Columbo has walked up to Miguel down by the stables, and then over on the side, two other ranch hands are wrangling a small cow, a calf, and the calf gets loose and starts to run towards Columbo, and he jumps. He kind of freaks out and jumps out of the way, and this makes Miguel laugh very hard. He's like, "It's just a little calf." Miguel offers Columbo a sip from his canteen, and Columbo takes it, and then he's like, "That's not water. It's a canteen full of mezcal." That just seems gross. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, do you remember what Koenig said? Fernandez actually got drunk
Yeah.
on set, like or like one night, and then started demanding the $5,000 he originally wanted per day for shooting. But then he I think, yeah, things changed and everything was fine.
Oh my gosh. Another note from Brady. So Brady has a photo of this spot where Columbo had to jump up and avoid the calf. And Brady writes that the stables are located adjacent to the bullfighting ring, or really the access road leading up to the ring alongside the resort. And this must have been where the film crew loaded in, because the streets in the small town of San Jose Vista Hermosa is riddled with cobblestone streets full of potholes. And it took Brady's cab 15 minutes just to reach the resort, going about
Mhm.
1 mile from the highway. Pretty crazy. Okay, so Miguel and Columbo have a chat, and Miguel tells Columbo, "I was the only one here, and I had been sent off to the south pasture with a bottle of mezcal, and I had a very nice time down there." And now we're going to move on to the locker room, Paul, unless there's anything else you wanted to say about this scene or anything we chatted about.
I thought it was excellent that they included Ricardo Montalban's bad leg into the script, because in real life he was thrown from a horse. He was very close to being severely not being able to move any more parts of his body, paraplegic. But he lived, and he had this bad leg, and it never went away. So if you see Fantasy Island, or he always has that bad leg. But the
Oh,
fact that they put
wow.
it in there to say it was something happened to him in the ring, I thought was excellent.
Oh, wow. That's so cool. Yeah, I didn't realize, I don't know him enough to know that that was like a part of him. But yeah.
Yeah, I didn't either. I read Reflections, A Life in Two Worlds, Ricardo Montalban with Bob Thomas. It's a great read. Yeah, they had it at the Burbank Library. Yeah, I really enjoyed blazing through this. This was easy to read. He talks about that. He talks about a lot of stuff. It's a little short. I was a little surprised.
Hmm.
I was hoping that it made me feel like they were just wanting to get his book out while he was hot on Fantasy Island.
Oh, yeah.
Either way, it's cool that he actually did it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. They that you learned that and that they incorporated that into the script. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Miguel and Columbo now walk over to the locker room where the ranch hands have their lockers, and Miguel has been asked to clear out Hector's things and give them to Curro. And he brought Hector's suitcase with him to put stuff from his locker into his suitcase. And when they open it, they see that it's already been packed. And Miguel and Columbo are wondering, like, why is it packed? Miguel has no idea who packed it. And then we start to learn a little bit more here in the locker room about bullfighting again. So we're learning like little tidbits as we go. But here are everyone's picks on the wall. They're like these long poles with a pointy end. And he learns that what they found in the bull ring is a lance, which is used to herd cows. It's not a pick, which is used to fight bulls. And Columbo has this little piece of wood that he found in the bull ring earlier. And Jaime is now also in the locker room, and Columbo shows them the piece of wood he found. And he says, Montoya said that this was a pick, but it's not the same size or color as a pick. And I love this moment because Jaime and Miguel just like scatter. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
we're not going to respond to that. And Luis Montoya enters right at that moment and
Mm-hmm.
says, perhaps I was mistaken.
Yeah, this is a great scene for acting. They have another great scene towards the end with each other, Columbo, Peter Falk, and Ricardo Montalban. But this Ricardo Montalban really shows his skill here. If you notice his hands, he sits down and he's talking to Columbo, and he starts to like do this with his fingers or like tap his finger. And it's just great. It's just like he's very calm, and he's just very like observant of him, of Columbo. And then he gives this whole speech in the ring, and the camera does a slow push in about that moment. I think in the ring he talks about.
Mm-hmm. What does he say about the moment in the ring, Paul? I don't remember his little speech.
He says it's the wound that ended his career.
Right. That, sorry, I'm just glancing at my notes. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Columbo asked him about his leg injury. And
Mm-hmm.
that, yeah, like you said, he retells the whole moment of getting gored by a bull, but refusing to leave the wing. And he's like right back in that moment. Like all the emotion and the pride is like right there on his face again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was really good. Really good moment. Yeah, this scene is really good. And I love seeing the locker room. I mean, I don't know for sure if this was really a thing, but I was like, "Oh, this is so cool. This is like what the ranch hands have um on the ranch." I don't know. I just
Mm-hmm.
thought it was cool to see like a real kind of behind the scenes place.
Yeah.
All right, Paul, it's time to go back to the plaza,
All right.
and I love the mariachis in this scene. So there's
Mm-hmm.
we go back to the plaza and we immediately are greeted by mariachis playing music.
And lots of staring people.
Oh my gosh.
It's wonderful. It's so cool.
It is. I was laughing out loud. The extras, the background characters in this scene are hilarious. They are trying to control themselves and play it cool with the filming that's happening and their role. They're supposed to just kind of be pedestrians and, people hanging out. But they really cannot resist staring at the cameras and staring at Columbo.
Isn't that what you did in Overnight Delivery? Didn't you
Oh
do
yeah,
that?
absolutely. I just stood and like stared at everything into the camera, frozen. But they're standing. There's one moment where there's a crowd, there's a clump of people standing on
Mm-hmm.
a sidewalk. Everyone is turned the same way. They're all
Mm-hmm.
frozen. They're all staring.
Mm-hmm. There's several clumps like that. I think there's like three or four.
Oh,
Excellent.
it's really funny. I have some photos, some screenshots that I grabbed that we'll share on our Instagram of the extras.
But it doesn't hurt. You know what I mean? Like it just adds some humor. Unintentional. You would prefer they were not staring, but these actors are so good. Like they're just in it.
Right.
So like I don't even like get take. It's like it's just fun to watch just to see them all staring at the filming.
Yeah, the actors don't seem fazed by it at all. For me, it takes me out of the moment a bit because
Okay.
it doesn't feel real. When I see
Hmm.
everyone
Sure,
uh,
sure, sure.
watching it that way, I start to feel like, oh, this isn't real anymore. They're filming a movie here. But it was funny. It was funny to see. And then I have another note from Brady. Quick note: this gazebo is still there,
Still doing
still doing fruit. Very cool.
fruit drinks.
Fruit drinks, fresca. All right. So Colombo and Sanchez are downtown together in the plaza, walking and talking. Colombo got a copy of Hector's medical examiner's report from the coroner. He says he doesn't understand it because of the needle mark that was on Hector's leg. And Colombo says, I think we should order an autopsy. And Sanchez agrees to do so, which it's kind of crazy when you think about the world that he lives in where Montoya is this huge, powerful person and to
Hmm.
be digging deeper into this crime. It's a little bit hard to believe, but it is but it's also like, well, that's the right thing to do would be to make sure that you're making the right decision about this death. And they enjoy a papaya fresca, which looks very yummy. I guess that's the other food. I don't know if that's I think that's more of a drink. Yeah, so it doesn't count. Still just the crackers, Paul. That's all we got.
Okay. Okay, Liz.
All right, so we're going to go check in on Curro in the hospital. And he's in a wheelchair wearing an emerald green bathrobe, and Nina, Montoya's daughter, is pushing his wheelchair. And Kuro blames himself for his dad's death. He thinks that his dad entered that ring to defend his son's honor. And Colombo shows up to the hospital and he wants to talk to Kuro. And he pulls over this cool old lawn chair that has these like wide nylon straps and a tan mustard yellow. It's kind of like the old school folding aluminum yard chairs,
Hmm.
but it's just a little bit sleeker.
By the way, real quick, sorry to interrupt you. The
No,
so
please
speaking, I
interrupt
like
me,
that
Paul.
that robe he's wearing. The costume person is Rudy Nava Luna,
Mm-hmm.
and there's only 3 credits for Rudy Nava Luna.
Yeah.
Columbo for this episode, and then Hotel and Slaughter's Big Ripoff. Slaughter's Big Ripoff. So I thought I'd just mention that it wasn't the usual Grady Hunt, Burt Miller, Lee Grant's
Mm-hmm.
man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I noticed that the costumes felt very different this time around. I liked Nina has some clothes that felt real and, of the moment, but there's not a lot of exciting looks. Um, even Montoya's nicer suits are not super interesting.
I liked Emilio Fernandez's ranch hand stuff with the vest. He had a vest and that top hat, that hat, big hat,
Mm,
and a
mhm,
little handkerchief.
mhm.
But yeah, yeah, yeah. I think you're right. It's a little limited,
It's a little bit.
but you know what? It makes sense too. I guess in a way, a little more realistic.
Yeah, I mean, if you live and work on a cattle ranch, like you're not wearing ball gowns and
So sorry, Liz, that they didn't do that. Sorry, Rudy did not. Just kidding.
I
Just kidding.
know. It makes sense that there's no ball gowns or silk suits or fur coats. It's fine. It's fine. It's a very different vibe. It's fine.
Colombo, Colombo, trench coat, cigar, là toujours. Colombo, oh mon beau Colombo, pas de gun, pas de look, what a look. Colombo, Colombo, trench coat, cigar, là toujours. Colombo, oh mon beau Colombo, pas de gun, pas de look, what a look. Passion meurtrière, folie passagère, rien à foutre devant l'expertise policière.
Yeah, so Kuro has his emerald green bathrobe, and Columbo wants to talk to him, and he's like, why do you want to talk to me? I wasn't even there when my dad died. And Columbo says, well, I want to ask you about your injury. And so Kuro tells him the story of what happened and how he ended up in the hospital, the day before his dad died. He says that a bull got loose from its crate. It was being delivered to the ranch. And Kuro was trying to get him put away again. He got hit in the leg by the bull, and his dad and Luis pulled him out of harm's way. Columbo has follow-up questions, of course. He says, if Montoya was battling the bull and Hector was dragging Kuro, why would Hector have his lance in the ring with him? Why wouldn't he have dropped that huge stick and just come rushing in and pulling Kuro out of harm's way? Also, where's the rest of the lance? Also, where was his dad going? Why were his bags packed? And Kuro says, my dad wasn't going anywhere. He never traveled. He never went on vacation. So he was either fired or he quit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's great. That actor.
Yeah, A. Martinez.
Yeah, what a career that guy. Still doing stuff.
What? Yeah, tell us about him.
Oh, I mean, he just look at his IMDb. He's just, and he was on like I think Days of Our Lives, but I've seen him in so many different things. He's got so many cool credits. But yeah, here I was just like, man, that's why he's worked on so much stuff because he's just so good from the get go. But yeah, he's in Longmire's a more recent one. Dark Winds coming up. The Rookie, that's a new series that a lot of people like. I like the music here where it goes to the next scene. Like there's this trumpet, sort of a trumpet that comes in, and then this guitar when Columbo is reading the bullfighting book at the office. It's the transition after he says that. Either he quit or got fired. And the next scene we're they're at the police station. The music in this was really good. And that's the first time I noticed it, I think, when I was watching it a second time. Was this transition here.
I have that same note, Paul, that the music, I really like the music in this episode. It was really good. You have the mariachis playing, but not just that. Like you have like you were saying, like a transition song from here to there. Yeah, it's really nice.
Bernardo Segal is he was born in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And you can hear a lot of his classical music. He's a piano player. But, he obviously he put all the instruments together and stuff. But a lot of his music, his solo classical stuff, you can hear on YouTube. But yeah, there's some other moments coming up that I love the music. He did 10 episodes of Columbo.
Oh, wow. Have we covered the other ones already?
Negative Reaction by Dawn's Early Light.
Okay.
Which we know that. Playback, Deadly State of Mind.
Okay,
so yeah, the 4 episodes there. And then he's got Case of Immunity, Identity Crisis. I think because they're in Mexico, Yeah. I think is where he but even this music is not just like the scene coming up where the kids are doing the Comandante's kids are doing the bullfighting in the front of the house. Mm-hmm. The music there is like, I was just like, wow, this guy is really good. Mm-hmm. But we'll get to that.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's cool to know he did the other ones. But yeah, like you said, it must have been the inspiration of being in Mexico that kind of took his music in a different direction or elevated it or just made it a little bit more noticeable in this episode. So Kuro says, my dad would only leave if he was fired or he quit. That gets Columbo thinking again. And now we go back to the police station where he's sitting behind the counter at the police station. He's reading about bullfighting. He's trying to learn what he can. Sanchez shows up and says, "Hey, I've got good news. Your car's here." They've also been investigating the weather of the evening when Hector was murdered. And just like Miguel, the ranch hand who had the mezcal on the south pasture, just like Miguel said, there was no rain. So we can't say it was raining. There's no way Hector would have done this. There was no rain. But Columbo shares that he thinks he's figured out why Hector was killed and that no one is going to believe him. We are going to go back to the ranch now, and we get a couple of shots of the scenery, the countryside here at the ranch. And I have to say, Paul, there's just not enough shots like this. I really wish that the director had. I know they were pressed for time, and
Sure.
this is something that David Koenig writes about in the book, that when they were planning this episode, when they were writing the script and prepping to go to Mexico, the director was kind of in over his head and didn't really understand the complexities of filming a show like this and the different locations and trying to get a bull to charge on an actor in a bull ring.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming that they just did not have time to get some shots of the scenery, some like long shots, broad shots, overhead shots. I don't know. It's all very close in. I just felt like all the shots were very close in.
Mm-hmm. But like Peter signed off on Ted because he liked working with Ted before. So Ted is like a TV master. Like he knows. So they got the right director in a way. Maybe if they'd had like another person there who knew that stuff, like a Mexican director who could work with them, maybe. But Ted, obviously he's going to deliver, right? He's going to figure out, well, we got to get this done. So, but yeah, no, they talk about that in that Koenig book. But yeah, I agree. You don't see much of that out here where they're at.
It's a beautiful estate, and it's set in this beautiful countryside, and you never really get an appreciation for that or get to see that. Okay, so we do get a short view of some of the countryside, and Columbo has shown up again at Montoya's ranch. He's at the gate. Montoya's maid greets him and is annoyed. I like the maid. She's annoyed to see Columbo.
Chachita. Evita Munoz Chachita.
Ah, what did you learn about her, Paul?
I didn't look her up.
Paul,
I should have.
Come on, man.
I know. But
she's
great.
funny.
She's funny.
She's really funny. And this is kind of a classic trope where Columbo is irritating the house staff. But she does it well. She still lets him in and takes him to Montoya. Montoya tells Columbo, "I can't believe you ordered an autopsy on Hector. It's like you're bringing dishonor or disgrace or whatever to my ranch. So, how dare you?" And so Columbo has some pretty pointed questions here for Montoya. He wants to know about tranquilizers that are on the ranch. Montoya doesn't lie. He's like, "Of course we have those. We're farm animals. Of course we have animal tranquilizers."
He's ready for it.
He's ready. He's always ready. He's always got an answer to these questions. And he almost always stays calm. I did want to point out, I'm not talking a lot about like the set and the costumes because it's a little bit drab, just what they chose to film and show. But I did want to point out in this scene, there's a very pretty cupboard that has some Mexican tile work where the animal medications are stored. And this is something that Brady mentioned, that there was actually really beautiful and amazing tile work all over this ranch.
Yeah. That green.
So it's unfortunate, like, we only get this one little glimpse of it, but we get a tiny glimpse of it. Columbo gets to see the medications that they have on hand for all the farm animals, and he sees they do have the same drug that was used on Hector, or that could have been used on Hector, and they do have an air gun, they have the darts, and now Columbo wants to see the purchase records for the tranquilizer medicine. Columbo wants to see, like, is there good inventory tracking that all of the tranquilizer medication only went to animals and there's nothing else missing, essentially. And Montoya is very cooperative in this scene. And then Columbo starts looking through more of the records than he really has permission to look through. And that's when Montoya kind of draws the line. He says, I don't want you just randomly looking at all of my record keeping. You need a court order. But he does allow him to look at the accounting or the bookkeeping that Hector. So Montoya said Hector said he could not drive him to San Diego because he had to do some bookkeeping. So Columbo wants to see, well, let me see the bookkeeping that Hector was working on. Columbo finds it, and it turns out it was actually signed 3 days before Hector died. Now Columbo asks, so what was Hector really doing when he decided not to go with you to San Diego? Since Montoya actually signed off on the bookkeeping, why didn't Montoya question Hector when he said he was going to work on bookkeeping? And this is when Luis Montoya gets very angry. This is like pretty much the only moment where he gets really angry at Columbo. He says, I am Luis Montoya and you are in my country.
And he says something in Spanish too.
Oh, did he? I didn't catch that.
Mhm.
What did he say?
He says,
Come on, Paul.
you just interrupted him. Anyway, yeah, he's mad.
Okay, he's mad. Excellent. And then Columbo has more. He drops one more thing on him. He says, who packed his bags? Because Hector's bags, like we chatted, were packed. And Luis says, well, he had talked about moving into the main house. And then Columbo says, oh, it's curious that no one had any information about that. And this is when Luis is like, all right, you need to leave. I've had enough.
Mhm.
Columbo is poking too many holes in this perfect story, and Luis cannot handle it anymore. Columbo says, I'll find my own way out. And then as Columbo's leaving, he kind of threatens Montoya a little bit. He says, okay, I'm going to leave, but someday someone's going to come knocking on your door.
Mhm. Mhm.
It might be Sanchez, it might be someone else. And this kind of seems to rattle him a little bit, but in a very subtle way. Like he doesn't show very many reactions, but he's kind of his face looks a little bit afraid now.
Yeah, it was a great moment when he's mad at him and Columbo's still sitting in the chair and then Columbo starts to do that, moves his hand a little bit like whoa, crossing the line. He's mad. Yeah, and then he throws that back at him. Yeah, it's excellent.
Yeah, this is a good scene, definitely. You can see the pool in the background here. So this is right off the pool, which used to be the aqueduct for the estate or the ranch. Like I mentioned, this is a different set decorator, so we're not seeing any of the set decoration pieces from LA, in this space, but there are two cool bull figurines on the desk. And it feels like a working desk from 1976.
This is Rafael Suarez.
Yeah.
Was the set decorator.
I feel like I looked him up and he only had a couple credits to his name, but maybe I'm confusing him with the costume guy.
He was a set decorator for Emilio Fernandez.
Ah.
And a movie they did called Zona Roja in 1976.
Okay.
Yeah. He did another one of his too. Yeah.
And those were filmed in LA or Mexico or?
Mexico. Most of his films are Mexican.
Yeah.
films. He's been doing films since 1945.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, and most of them are Mexican films.
It's just surprisingly uncolorful considering when I've spent time in Mexico, it's just a more colorful feeling than what we get here in this space.
Hmm. Actually, Rafael Suarez did The Magnificent Seven. That was John Sturges. So that was with Yul Brynner, Steve McQueen, Charles Bronson.
Oh. Was it colorful?
It's been a while, so I don't know if I've actually seen that movie. It was a big one, but they shot it in. Yeah, so that they also shot Sundance, the Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid
Mhm.
at this location,
Oh,
the Robert
at
Redford Paul
the
Newman film. Yeah,
oh,
at
that's
the
cool.
this place. Yeah.
Hacienda?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's like the scene in the end of the film, I believe.
Okay, so we are going to head over from the ranch to Comandante Sanchez's house, and his two sons are playing in his driveway right in front of his house. I love this neighborhood. It's like very mid-century modern homes. It looks like I would love to get like a little drive-through tour of all the houses here. We just get a really short view of Sanchez's home, and his kids are in the driveway. They're playing at bullfighting. So one of them's the bull, one of them's the bullfighter, the matador. Colombo shows up to talk to Sanchez. He notices Sanchez's sons. One of them is pouring water on top of the muleta, which is the cape. And Sanchez explains that the water that matadors would do that if it's windy because the water will keep the cape or the muleta from blowing too easily and blowing in the wrong direction. And so Columbo realizes something else in this moment and he dashes away from Sanchez's house.
So when he drives up from leaving Montoya's house, the music here is like it's kind of tense, like foreboding, and it's like it's like is it over? Is this guy actually going to be prosecuted? So it's a great contrast to what you're seeing, and I think what you normally maybe not normally, I can't remember, but I really liked the play of the music here, and I really liked the end when he gets the idea in his head. The music, it has this sort of like high lyrical highlighting the idea in his head when he sees the kids.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Remember
that's
how
so
he gets an
cool.
idea? He gets an idea in his
Yeah.
head,
Yeah, absolutely. It's like a realization or a dawning or an inspiration.
or he's looking at the bullfighting book. It's like these flute. It's like high winds, or it's like an oboe maybe,
Mhm.
and it's like this doo 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 doo. It's like it's just pointing out the idea in his head. Anyway, I loved it. Okay, moving on.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I'm glad you noticed those things because I just have like a generic note here, like I like the music, but you actually noticed some of the details about it.
Yeah, because it's different for Columbo. It's accenting what's going on in
Yeah.
his head. Dun, oh, wait a minute, hold on, maybe not all is lost. Dun, I
Hmm.
got an idea here. I mean, they do all kinds of things, the composers, but that was a nice one.
Yeah, they don't. I don't think they usually match his thoughts with the music. That's like pretty
Hmm.
unique, I think. Okay, so we're leaving Sanchez's house. Columbo is now driving somewhere else. I I'm guessing this is where Kuro lives. I don't totally know. I thought Kuro lived on the estate with his dad and Montoya. It's not the hospital, but Kuro is coming out of a home.
Hmm.
And Columbo stops him and says, "Hey, listen, your dad was actually murdered by Montoya." I love Kuro, A. Martinez. Like his acting is really, really excellent in this scene. He doesn't say a lot, but his face really conveys a lot. He seems genuinely upset by the idea that Montoya would have murdered his father. Also, he does not believe it. He's like, "What are you talking about? That's crazy." Columbo asks him to trust him, which that's like a stretch for me. Why would Kuro trust this man he barely knows over Montoya, who's probably like a second father to him?
Well, if he murdered his dad, this kind of crazy accusation, and he knows he's been with, so maybe with the help, because he doesn't say yes or no at that moment, but maybe
Right.
with the help with the commandante, he's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to help you guys because commandante believes that he's guilty. So, and if he killed my dad, yeah, let's get him.
Yeah.
I hear
Yeah.
what you're
I
saying
guess,
too, though. He could have just ran away, right? Driven him off, like, this guy's crazy.
yeah. But no, but you're right, because he doesn't have to do a lot, and he doesn't have to endanger Montoya to actually move this plot forward for Columbo.
It is over the top, I have to say, though, what they do,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah. But at the same time, it seems like it's safe. I mean, I'm not saying logically that I know that it's safe, but in the next scene, it seems like they have enough people around to try to
Yeah,
think it's safe.
they got like 5 people pop out
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something. I forget how many.
yeah. So we're moving on to the final moments of the episode. We're back at the ranch, back at Montoya's. And this is kind of a cool little shot that the director took. It's through like a cutout, the second story landing, kind of like window onto the first story, first floor. Columbo has shown up again, even though he's not welcome. He's there with Sanchez. And we get a tiny splash of color in this space on the walls and on the
Mm-hmm.
pillows. But again, it's pretty like drab, like gray, black, brown. But Nina, Montoya's adult daughter, does have a really cool shirt on that has like, it looks like it has like skiers or pilots or something. I don't know. I have a screen grab that I will add to our Instagram.
And the thing in her hair too.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like mismatched patterns. These are not, and this is the second time where she has like a headband that's one fabric and then a shirt that's a totally different fabric and pattern. So it's kind of, it's cool. It's different. So Columbo again is here trying to show how Hector's death was not an accident. He says that Hector had gotten just enough of the tranquilizer to be woozy, but not passed out. And since he was woozy, he was still moving around enough for the bull to find him and attack him. Montoya says, "There's no proof of any of this that you're saying." And then somebody runs in and says, "Hey, Kuro's in the bull ring. He's going to fight the bull, Marinera." And so Montoya says, "I'm going to attend to this young fool."
So is everybody in on this, right? Except for
Yeah,
Montoya?
I guess so. I mean, that seems kind of radical.
Yeah. But maybe not the daughter, because she seems pretty believable with her reactions.
She's didn't need to be in on it,
Yeah.
but she could have had those reactions even if she was in on
Mm-hmm.
it too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true.
Like, okay, I'll go along with this, but I'm pretty sure you're going to realize that you're all wrong, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So Montoya says, "I'm going to attend to this young fool, Kuro, in the bull ring, and then I'm going to get Columbo and Sanchez in big trouble." Because he's like, "I'm very powerful. You're gonna be in big trouble." So he leaves the room, and we cut to the bull ring. Kuro is in the ring. It looks like he's waiting. He's ready to fight the bull who killed his father. Montoya yells at him to stop and says, "Don't do this." And Kuro seems to agree with Montoya. Calm down or whatever. And he hands Montoya the cape, which is called the muleta, and then the sword or the saber, or I don't know what the word, I forget the word. But he hands the two main tools over to Montoya, and then he runs away. And then he tells the other folks to release the bull. So Kuro is definitely in on it. He says, release the bull. And the bull at first goes after Kuro, but then Kuro hides behind these blocks of wood that are in the bull ring to protect, the clowns and whoever. So once Kuro's hidden, then the bull turns and goes to Montoya, goes towards Montoya. Montoya freezes. And then at this moment, many other people come out from behind those wooden platforms, boards, whatever they're called. They come out to distract the bull, like start moving around and get his attention. Outside of the bull ring, where Colombo and Sanchez and Nina, his son, Montoya's daughter, are, and other people, they're all watching, they're all witnessing that Montoya is in the bull ring and he's frozen. He's not reacting. He's not, fighting the bull. He's just totally frozen with fear. He's like super, super afraid. So everyone who's in the bull ring in this moment gets the bull to go back out the gate. So the bull ring is no longer dangerous. The bull's gone, whatever. And two of Montoya's ranch hands come out into the bull ring and try to gently, grab his arms and kind of escort him out of the bull ring. And this is finally Montoya kind of snaps out of it and he says, "What are you doing? Get back to work." He says it in Spanish. And then Sanchez's police officers show up to arrest him. Montoya sees what's happening. He sees the cops coming. And then he hands his muleta, the cape, and his sword or his dagger to Colombo, and he gets in the cop car without saying anything, without protesting. And then Colombo explains to Sanchez what happened with Kuro, a few days ago that set this whole thing off. How when Kuro was charged by the bull, Montoya froze, Hector stepped in, and now Hector knew that Montoya was afraid of bulls, and so Hector had to be murdered because Montoya couldn't live with anyone knowing that he's afraid of bulls now. And Colombo says that Sanchez's sons were the ones who clued him into, who solved the crime because of the pouring the water on the cape. And when they picked up the cape after Hector died in the bull ring, there were no water stains on the cape, and it was windy. It was very windy that evening. There were no water stains and there was no water jug. And that is the grand finale right there, Paul. Water stains and a water jug.
Why do you think Hector Rangel was going to leave?
I think because he couldn't respect him anymore.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, he couldn't work under this man and hold that respect for him and also keep that secret. He was like, "Oh, I can't keep your secret, so I'm just going to banish myself from your kingdom," which is pretty crazy, but
yeah, because that's his it's been his lifeline for many years.
Yeah, that's his livelihood.
It is kind of weird, but I guess it could make sense. All right, so what's your rating on this, Liz?
I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts. I have a number of complaints about this.
Let's hear it.
Episode.
Come on.
All right. So we don't know the motive for the murder until the very end. Maybe there's been like one or two other Colombos where we don't know the motive. It just starts the whole episode off where, as a viewer, you're confused. I'm confused. I'm wondering, like, what's happening? Why is this happening?
Right.
I feel like it's not a great approach. I appreciate the moments where Columbo like figures out a piece of the how they did it. Finding out the why at the very end is, I don't know. I just feel like it doesn't set you up for a great episode.
I think part of me just now thought it would have been better if you had known, because then it would make sense. However, it's like they're using it as a reveal, stopping him in his tracks. So then, yeah, I think the whole explanation at the end is just, it's not very creative or clever in the writing as how Peter Falk explains it to the audience and to Commandante Sanchez. It's just like it stops everything in its tracks, and the first time I saw it recently, I was still kind of confused.
Yeah, that's my other main complaint with this episode is it's like way too much explanation to enjoy it. There's so much talking, and I can't remember another one off the top of my head, but when you have to like speak the story, tell the story versus show the story, it's just not as fun as a viewer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they had said in the Koenig's book that the script, they all agreed, was not strong. I mean, I think Brad Radnitz wrote a great script in terms of the originality of it, but it needed work. It needed that, like you said, like the whole thing at the end was just not. And maybe there was a bunch of changes that kept changing, and there was other stuff that probably maybe we're glad that it was changed. The thing at the end, to me, really, like, it's just too much of an explanation, and I like them staring at each other, like, oh, okay, you got me, but yeah, it's way too much for the ending. It just sort of stops everything.
Yeah, the whole story is too complicated. There's too many pieces that as a viewer you don't see, you don't know, you don't understand, and then it's just over. I don't know.
I mean, they could have had
And
it
then
where you knew, and then made like the reveal different, or something where you have a reveal. You have him do some kind of way to catch him. That's clever, right?
and I also, like I've already said, I don't think that the cinematography captures it doesn't capture as much interesting footage as it could have. It comes across as kind of, it reminds me of a case of immunity, just shades of brown all around, drab, drab, drab. And I just want to see some color and some life. And obviously, the acting is really important, and the story and the writing is really important. But those little details, like having a meal, or seeing the road that you drive down, and then before you get to the estate, those little pieces kind of bring you into the moment. And there's very little of that in this episode. So you're just kind of going like plot line to plot line, someone telling you the story of what's happening.
Yeah, the cinematographer, he's Gabriel Torres, and he did a lot of stuff in Mexico. He did one called The Deadly Trackers that was directed by Barry Shear and Samuel Fuller. Huge cast, and Pedro Armendariz Jr. is in it.
Oh, cool.
The Commandante, yeah. That one,
Yeah,
actually, I wish I'd seen that. That looks cool, that movie.
yeah, you should have watched that, Paul. I don't blame the cinematographer or the director. I think,
Sure.
like we chatted about, David Koenig's book points out, they were just really rushed for time. They did not know what they were getting into. They didn't know how long it would take to get this film a bull charging somebody. So I think they just did not have enough free time to get good like B-roll and
Yeah.
those slower moments. So I'm sure that the people are talented, and if they had more time, they would have made it better. But it didn't work out for them this time.
Yeah, because I think they went over budget on that one.
They went way over budget. They were
So
$250,000 over budget.
yeah, so if you're scrambling and to get stuff shot and all that stuff,
Yeah,
yeah, things kind
yeah,
of like go by the wayside
yeah, exactly.
sometimes, especially as we know for television.
Hmm.
Okay, so what else? What are the other
That's it.
problemas?
I mean, those are the main problemas. I did love the music. I did love the acting. It was funny seeing the extras in the background not play it cool. That was pretty funny. But it definitely I feel like it distracts from being in the moment. All right, what about you? So, you want me to give a rating, Paul?
Sure, yeah.
All right. I
Don't
think
we
I'm gonna give this
always, Liz?
uh, I'm gonna give this one a 6 out of 10.
Ooh.
Wah, wah,
Um,
wah.
I
What
would give
about
it
you?
like I give it like maybe a 7.5. Um,
Whoa, Paul.
yeah, maybe
Let's hear it.
7.8, maybe
Oh
7.8
my gosh.
out of
How
10.
come? Tell
Well,
me.
because
Tell me why.
the acting and I do like the story. I do like the moments that he meets up with the Commandante actor, the music with it. Yeah, I do think it's I don't know. I'm a little tired this evening, but yeah, I think
And you're a little bit of a softie, and that's okay.
yeah, but yeah, I like the location. I think it's really cool, and again the moments for the performances with each other, like in the locker room, or when Jaime speaks with Columbo at different times, or the maid.
Mhm.
So I think that's why. But yeah, that ending, yeah, they needed to work on that. They needed
Mhm.
to be more creative with that. Even if you had different dialogue,
Mhm.
where like how Columbo did the one with Culp,
Um,
Robert
oh,
Culp,
Robert Culp?
the
Mhm.
one where Culp goes to the garage at the end and looks in a trunk to find something, and they set him up.
Uh-huh.
At the
Yeah.
end of that, remember Columbo says something about his childhood, putting bananas in the,
Mm.
or I forget what he
Potatoes.
said. Potatoes, yeah,
Potatoes. Mhm.
that was
Into
Eddie
tailpipes.
Murphy. But so you could have they could have done something else, but he could have talked about something else and be referring to what we just witnessed.
Mhm.
Something where it's not like he's explaining it to the audience, explaining it to the commandant. So again, it was. I'm sure it was with the time that I don't know if Brad was down there or if they kept doing rewrites or what.
The other problem with this episode is that they're having to explain this whole culture behind bullfighting to the viewer, right? Like, we don't know anything about bullfighting. So the whole thing is like we have to explain bullfighting, we have to explain this idea of honor and fear, like all of these things that are not part of our regular, understanding.
Hmm.
And so there's just yeah, it's like I mean they kind of set themselves up for a really hard episode with using this premise of like we don't know that, there might be a motive for murder if somebody freezes, if a matador freezes in front of a bull. I don't know. It just,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know anything about Brad other than he wrote for a lot of different episodes, a lot of different shows, just like one episode. So he was a good writer because he could get the job done and follow a certain formula. But wouldn't it have been cool if they'd gotten someone from Mexico to help them
mhm.
out with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
That would have been really cool.
That would have been great. They could have they probably could have tightened everything up and like simplified it and just it's overly complicated.
Yeah, and maybe it's also too like the location they're at. This was a guy who from Spain, right, who conquered the natives there. Like with Mexican film in the United States, they tried to make films for with some Hispanic actors and they did it in Spanish for Hispanic communities in the United States, but they all failed. Like not that maybe failed's not the right word, but I was noticing in some of these books on the history of Mexican cinema that when the studios out here tried to do that, it was always confusing to a lot of people who would go see these films because it's like you're making a film about something you don't. Maybe it was like I forget certain examples, but they never really made money. I don't know. It's a little similar to this in a way of like you going into Mexico and doing the story about how things are. You are enlisting certain well-known performers and technicians from the state of Mexico. But you see what I'm saying? Like it's sort of like if they had that probably would have could have made it that much better, but that would have lost opportunity. But it's funny because they knew that the script was not good while they were making it. So it's like, why would you have just? I forget why they greenlit it to shoot first. I guess they're on a schedule and they just can't stop. So yeah, maybe I waffle between 7.5 and 7.8.
Those are still pretty good scores, though.
Yeah, because I do like that it's down there and that they did enlist performers like Emilio Fernandez,
No,
even
yeah.
though he's only got like 3 or 4 scenes. Ricardo Montalban, he made films in Mexico before he made films in the United States. He had 2 brothers, at least 2 brothers, maybe a sister. His brother Pedro passed away before season 2 of Fantasy Island, but when he came down here to film this, that was the last time he would see his brother. And then he came back down for the funeral. He talks about it in his book. His brother was the one that everybody really liked. He was very gregarious and friendly
Like in the family,
in the
I
family.
mean.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. That everybody liked him. Relatives and neighbors and people that his family knew. His brother Carlos Montalban, he plays in Humphrey Bogart's last film called The Harder They Fall, and he plays a manager of a Mexican boxer named Toro. It's written by a book by Bud Schulberg, who is a famous screenwriter. But that was a really good movie, and Carlos was really good. Like that's a
His
black and white
brother.
film. His brother, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that was really cool.
Toto.
No,
I'm
it's
gonna
called The
add it
Harder
to
They
our list.
Fall.
The harder they
Yeah,
fall. Okay, I'm adding
yeah.
it to our list.
But I watched several Ricardo films. I watched Sweet Charity, Bob Fosse. That was really cool. That was like based on the Fellini Knights of Cabiria, and also based on Neil Simon's play. But it's a musical with dancing, and he plays like this famous Italian film actor that Shirley MacLaine falls for. And I watched a couple of film noirs and one neo noir, all with Ricardo. Probably the one that stood up the best was the one called Border Incident. He plays a Mexican police officer and they speak English, when they have the scenes with the people in Juarez. I think it's in Juarez,
Mm-hmm.
but it's kind of like it's from the 50s. It's Anthony Mann, but it was pretty good. And it's he tries to infiltrate groups of people who cross the border from Mexico into the United States to work on wherever as day laborers at farms and stuff. And it talks about the corruption of American farmers taking advantage of them and locking them into just working for them, low pay, and because they're over there illegally, they have this power over them, which is sometimes is quite common. I saw a short film recently by a woman from Los Angeles. I think she's from Los Angeles, and it's about day laborers, and it's real day laborers that she used. It won at Sundance. It's a short film. It's beautiful. I'll put the listing on that on
The show
Instagram.
notes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I heard her talk. Like she came, she showed the film, and she has 2 or 3 day laborers, and that they're acting in it. And I actually got to meet them at the film.
Oh,
It was a
cool.
film festival. Yeah, that was fantastic. But the movie that Ricardo's in, Border Incident, it's kind of like an early Sicario, like an early. It's not really, but it has a couple strong similarities. That was, I thought, the best of the ones I saw. I also watched Mystery Street. Ricardo's a detective in that. He's good. I think it was the direction that was kind of weird. He moves really fast in that for some reason. And The Money Trap with Glenn Ford. That was I think they call it a neo noir, even though I think it's from the 60s. It's color. That was interesting. Ricardo was really good in that. And then I watched My Dinner with Herve Velazquez, the guy who was in Fantasy Island with him. Like, look off the plane.
The little
actor.
shorter person.
Yeah, he Peter Dinklage plays him in this movie,
Oh,
and it's a fantastic film. Like, it's so entertaining. It's all based on the director's interview that he did with Herve before he killed himself. Like
Oh,
he shot
I
himself.
didn't know he
And I
oh,
think I
that's so
read that
sad.
because he couldn't his parts of his body were growing, but his other parts weren't, so it was very painful for him to sleep. I think he slipped up. They don't talk much about that, and they condense the the script, so they fictionalize elements for time in terms of what happened where, but it's all sort of based in truth on his interview that he did with him. He's a British journalist, and he directed this film, and he and Peter Dinklage waited about 15 years to make the film. It's on HBO, but you have to buy it on Amazon. I think maybe it's for sale to rent somewhere else, but that was very entertaining. And there's a couple of sections with Andy Garcia playing Ricardo Montalban
Oh, wow.
on the set of Fantasy Island, and so
Oh
you
my
get to see a little of the conflict that they must have had to a degree. But in his book, Ricardo loved working with him, and he probably didn't want to say anything
negative.
negative.
Yeah. So it's like a dramatization of
This guy's evening with her,
and Herve.
yeah, on Fantasy Island, yeah.
That sounds very interesting. I love Peter Dinklage.
Yeah. So Herve tells his life story in it. So there's a chunk of the film when he was a kid in France because he grew up in France. His parents were French.
Okay.
Interestingly, Montalban's ancestors are from France. So they at one point they moved to Spain and then to Mexico. But My Dinner with Herve, I recommend that if you're interested in that actor.
Mhm.
And then the gang that couldn't shoot straight was a Herve Vallejos was in it, but they dubbed his voice. So De Niro was in it too, so that's why I always wanted to see that film. But that one I don't really recommend unless you really just want to see those actors. But even then, it's very mixed bag, and the jokes kind of like don't really land, and there's some funny stuff. I find this episode very interesting. So it's kind of like the boat one, right? They did the boat one, and they're like, well, let's go to Mexico. Did they go anywhere else like that in any episodes?
Well, there's the London one, which we covered already.
Oh, that's right. I remember that one. Yeah.
And there's the military academy.
Yep.
You got a little trivia for me? Let's hear it.
Yeah.
I'm nervous because you watched all these films. I feel like you get some deep, deep trivia tonight.
Okay. Bulls are colorblind.
Oh. True.
Well, so not really,
Ah,
but
ah,
they have.
that really sounds like a true to me.
It's they have two types of color receptor cells in their eyes. In contrast, we have three, and they're trichromats. There's DICH chromat, so that's because it's two. So they're most
Dichromatic?
sensitive. Yeah, so they're most
Mhm.
sensitive to yellowish green
Okay.
and blue purple light. So it's limited. So they don't really see that red that's of the cape. It's just I'm not sure why. Maybe because of blood they would use red, but I don't know how they would really know that though. But that's what I was reading. Colorwithleo.com answers the question to a degree. So because they keep them in the dark before they let them out,
Uh-huh.
and so it's like everything like lights up when they're out, and they're just ready to they do all kinds of stuff to get them to battle. Okay, so
So that's a point for me.
maybe you've got that's a point
Mhm.
for you. Okay. Okay, to refuel his spirit, Ricardo would occasionally go on drinking benders.
Oh, I don't know. I'm going to say that's false.
Okay, fine, you got that one.
Yes.
But
Yeah, because we talked about Emilio. Emilio must have gone on.
So Ricardo would actually go to a like a monastery out here in California.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, he would go to a monastery, and there'd be other people there, and it was just you don't talk for certain parts of it.
Oh, like
You
a
walk.
silent retreat.
Yeah, and the priests there, would talk. You would come to mass. and you would talk to people, but he talks. So his book begins at some point in the beginning, starts with that, and throughout the book, he always returns to this particular stay when he's there. So it's sort of like a nice thread that he weaves, telling his life story, going back to the week or weekend. I can't remember that he spends at this monastery. They have one like that in Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I almost did that one time when I was single and trying to.
Meet a lady?
Exactly. Just trying. I thought maybe I would have like deep dreams or something, or maybe being in a
Mhm.
different place might help me readjust. I don't think I was going. I think I was just sort of like wanting to get away, but I never did it. Like I looked it up and got the pamphlet and looked at the directions and how much it costs, and in the end, I was like, I'd rather film or hang out with friends on the weekend or something.
Maybe one day, Paul. But also, I think I would love a silent retreat.
Oh, you would?
I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like Ricardo Montalban. Take me away, put me in a place I know.
Well, why don't you do that?
Well, life,
You could do it though.
children.
Instead of going to see that band, who's the band that you like so much?
Moita.
Moita. Okay, so instead of going to Amsterdam to see Moita, maybe you could go to the mission down the street from your house that has some brothers, and they can put you up.
I will do a silent retreat. I will one day. But when
I was
life is
teasing
less
you,
crazy.
Liz.
No,
Okay,
I'm all
last one, and this is a
okay.
hard
Okay,
one.
I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it right.
Emilio Fernandez
Mhm.
shot, I think, or perhaps injured a couple of men in his life.
Oh, that sounds very true to me.
Well, he fought in the Mexican Revolutionary Wars
Okay.
and was actually sentenced to a 20-year jail term. Murder was at issue, from which he escaped to California.
Oh, so I'm 3 for 3 tonight.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you got them all, Liz.
You
Congratulations.
need to insert a sound effect, like
Yeah.
a trumpet, some fireworks sounds, confetti, because I don't usually get 3 for 3.
Oh, I did want to say, did you ever hear that song Conquistador
By who?
by Procol Harum?
Context.
Procol,
By who? What?
Procol Harum.
So it's
Procol
not.
Harum. They did Whiter Shade of Pale. It's like an organ. It was in. I think it was in The Big Chill and Scorsese's Life Lessons.
I know Whiter Shade of Pale. That's like in Woody Allen's New York Stories movie.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it's Scorsese's story. Yeah, Life Lessons. Good memory.
Ah.
Yeah, that's Scorsese's, because there's Woody Allen, Scorsese, and Coppola in Life Lessons, but Conquistador
Oh.
is also in Life Lessons, and it's the live version. So Conquistador is like the Spanish, conquistador, like the knight on the horse.
Mm-hmm.
And I always imagine it as a bullfighter as well, but I guess it's more of a conquistador, which would have been the place that they're staying at in this episode. But it just made me think that I always thought it was like about bullfighting, but I love that song, the live version. It was a hit. It was like it reached the charts, like the top 40 charts,
Okay.
maybe number 17 and 19, the live version. And there was something else about a song.
Dang, Paul, your
No, I
memory
just
is amazing. Conquistador, number 17. What year?
no number 16, 1972. Well, I wrote it down.
Okay.
It says, "I know you came with sword held high. You did not conquer, only die." It's
Oh.
the lyrics are so cool. So it's like he's dead on the beach. This body, this conquistador's body.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just the lyrics were. This is the only song that Procol Harum did that the music was done before the lyrics.
Oh.
I don't know why. I guess because they're at a conquistador's location,
Yes.
and it's just I don't know. You think about it with people from Spain came into Mexico.
Yeah.
Changed it to Mexico.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What a cool episode, I thought.
Yeah, you
Unfortunately,
did.
you didn't think it was very cool.
I will be okay if I do not watch that one again. I'm just gonna
Really?
say it. I'm just gonna put it
Oh
out there.
my,
I know. I don't say that often.
that's shame on you, Liz.
I know. I
I'm gonna
do
tell
feel a little bit
Dad
bad.
that you said that.
I feel a little bit bad saying that. I think part of it is I see the potential. I see how good it could have been, and I just am disappointed that it doesn't show. It's not more of what I want. That's all.
Yeah, yeah.
But, for what they were working with and the constraints, still a decent episode.
Yeah. I mean, like I was saying before, I almost feel like if they had gotten the writing right, maybe hired someone from the area, maybe things would have been a little better overall. It was almost like, you always read about the people going in the jungle trying to find the city of gold, and they die. Like there's all these stories of that kind of thing. It's sort of like trying to conquer. And in a way, you could say that, you're going in there, you're trying to tell the story, and you don't have the right intentions, or you're not honoring, it's just a
Yeah,
Hollywood show,
it's
but
like it's
it's
like
so
not
connected.
not honoring the bullfighting because it's just too much to convey to the American people, and not honoring Columbo because he doesn't, normally Columbo gets to have these moments with with the villain where they're like spending time together, and here it's just all very like there's just we have to explain we have to go to the next scene and explain the next thing and blah 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 blah. It's just I don't get enough of Columbo, and I don't get enough of the setting and the bullfighting and all that either. So I don't know.
Right. So it's almost like, they always say like when they found the tomb, but then they all died because the curse, it's kind of like when you go there and you're not doing the prayer before it, there you can run into trouble. Anywho,
we have wandered quite a bit tonight, Paul, but it's been very fun.
Yeah.
And we just have a couple things for our sign off. We want to thank Maxime Gervais for our theme song, Columbo. And this podcast is edited by John Warenas. Thank you so much, John.
Thank you, John.
And if you want to add to our conversation, you can email us at trenchcoatcigar@gmail.com, or you can find us on Instagram. We are also Trenchcoat Cigar. And Paul, one more thing.
Yes, Liz.
Thanks for listening.
Yay.
Yay.
Colombo, Trench coat, cigare, là toujours. Colombo, au monde Colombo, pas de gun, pas de look, what a look. Colombo, Trench coat, cigare, là toujours. Colombo, au monde Colombo, pas de gun, pas de look, what a look. Passion meurtrière, folie passagère, rien à foutre devant l'expertise policière. T'avais un plan sans faille, pensez à chaque détail. L'inspecteur Colombo pensera toujours en dehors de la boîte. Toujours un cousin qui a eu un lavoto, qui a fait de la moto.